This is the OnePlus 6T, and while it's been one of the more heavily leaked phones of 2018, there are actually a few interesting surprises here. And so we are here at the OnePlus 6T production line, where I'm going to show you not just how the phone is made, but also some of the secrets hidden inside. Plus, I can physically show you why the headphone jack was removed. So, production of the 6T starts with something called the midframe, the middle layer of the phone, and one of the first components that is fitted is the display, which actually comes pre-fitted with all the display connectors needed. They use these behemoth machines to scan the frame and lay glue to exactly the right places, and then these cages to press them right up against the screens for 4 hours each. And then, what surprised me was that every device is tested there and then. They make sure the screen is on securely, there's color calibration and checking for white or black spots, and they even put each phone under a microscope to check the edges. And to be honest, there's a lot more to this whole production process than initially meets the eye. Every single worker has to wear this wrist strap, which is plugged into the worktop, and it keeps them grounded and prevents static shocks. You'll notice there are machines dedicated to checking the OnePlus 6T at every single stage and deciding if any given phone is a fail or if it's a pass. And humidifiers which force dust to settle on the floor and not on the phones. Then you've got the camera module, in fact the same dual camera setup as seen on the OnePlus 6, the new and improved battery, and the mirror black finish, which is placed on by machine and then pressed against the midframe just to ensure a good seal. I think the thing that surprised me the most about this entire factory was just how many machines there were and how specialized they were for such minute tasks. The other really interesting thing was that about half of the factory floor was dedicated to testing the phones. 6Ts would be wobbled around in front of this X to make sure camera stabilization works. Phones were flipped around in all directions to test the gyro sensors, and they'd even created artificial environments to test camera distortion. Of all parts of this process to be done by machine, you'd really think that packaging would be the one, but most of it is actually done by hand. This was maybe the most satisfying part of the entire thing to watch, and these guys had clearly done it 1,000 times before I'd got there. They had the speed you need, as OnePlus would say, but also the precision of a machine. Really crazy to see it in action. Once the contents were all in, they'd add this little sleeve around the box, and then a machine loosely covers it in film and pushes it inside what I can only assume is some sort of heater, after which they emerge, finished products and ready for shipment. And on that note, well, let's crack one open. So, I managed to get one device put aside for me, and the glue was already loosened here, so I could pretty much just pull the back off and take a look inside. The first thing to do here is to pull off the connections and remove the daughter board, which is a name for any board that extends an existing circuit. And you'll see it has this big hole in it, which is where the vibration motor sits. I then took out the USB-C connection, which goes underneath the battery, and then this is where it gets interesting. The OnePlus 6T is using a second generation optical in-display fingerprint scanner, and so if we take out the module, you'll be able to see the camera by which it works. This tiny sensor has a super short focal length so that it can detect the ridges of your fingers when you place them on the display. And so what's really cool is that now that we've removed this part, you can see through the phone. Where the camera previously was, you've now got a transparent circle. You could turn on a flashlight, shine it into the back of the phone, and see it coming through from the screen on the front. And speaking of the screen, the OnePlus 6T is going to be one of the first, if not the first, devices with Gorilla Glass 6 fitted, which gives 2 times better drop resistance than Gorilla Glass 5. There are a couple more things to point out here. If we delve a little further, we've got the dual cameras up top, and the new, larger 3700 mAh battery, which is up from 3300 on the 6. And this leads us to the question of the headphone jack. The reason it isn't here is a space limitation. If you look at the inside of the OnePlus 6, the headphone jack takes up a fair chunk of room, and now with this larger battery and the in-display fingerprint scanner to worry about, there just isn't space unless they made the phone thicker. I'd be curious to know your opinions on this decision, because personally I'm not a massive fan. I'm someone who sometimes uses the headphone jack, and when you factor in that this new fingerprint scanner is only about half the speed of the original one on the OnePlus 6, I'm not sold on the compromise. But then again, you could argue that having a scanner on the front saves time spent moving fingers. So yeah, let me know what you think. I've got a pretty massive OnePlus 6T video dropping tomorrow, so if you aren't already subscribed, it'd be amazing if you could smash that button. And with that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.